Hello friends, welcome to the world of Chhuti presents Escape into Audio Stories in English. We will read stories primarily of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Southeast Asian origin and in English language. We'll try to read in neutral accent as much as possible and with our best attempts. We will focus on literature for kids and children. Today we are going to read the story named Homecoming, written by Lila Majumdar. Lila Majumdar was a stalwart in children literature in Bengali language. Her father Pramada Ranjan Roy was a surveyor in government department and stayed in different parts of British India, including Meghalaya and many hill stations. This story roots to such pieces of accounts from her childhood. This story was first published in Bengali language in Sandesh as Barapani in 1970s and then was rewritten in English and also in Bengali with some changes and published in English as Homecoming and Barapani in Bengali language by National Book Trust. Let's get into the story now. The days grew cooler as the year neared its end. The air was clear as crystal. At night, the sky overhead looked like a great overturned bowl. It was deep purple in color and studded with stars. Mother pointed out the planets, which had no light of their own and burned steadily in reflected sunlight. The stars had their own light and winked and blinked merrily. They are actually other suns, said Mother. They have planets of their own. Could you see them from your village, Sonali, when you were a child? Asked Kanu. Mother replied in an odd voice, Yes, Kanu. From there too we saw the same stars and planets. Isn't that strange and wonderful? Perhaps even now my old mother is looking at these very same stars and thinking of us. Everyone in the whole world sees the same stars, Ma? No, Kanu. Only the people in the northern half of the world see them. Those in the southern half see other stars. The sky looks dark blue over our village, not deep purple, as it does here. Look, that is Milky Way, the white belt across the sky. It is made up of millions of stars. We used to call it Akash Ganga, the Ganga of the skies. Kanu said with wonder, Everything is really the same everywhere, isn't it, Ma? Yes, said Mother. Then why do you like Sonali better than Mulki? I was born there, child. My mother lives there. Is it Sonali you miss, Ma? Or your mother? You talk too much, child, scolded Mother. But there was a smile on her lips. As the days grew colder, the leaves began to fall from the trees. First they turned from green to yellow, then a brownish tinge appeared. The slightest wind from the north dislodged them. They drifted down and lay in the heap under the trees. Yellow, brown, golden, bright red, and even black. Ubin, the gardener, brought out his big rake and gathered the leaves together so that the garden would look tidy. Then he collected the little heaps into one big heap. Away from the house, Nana called Kanu, Come boy, we are going to have a bonfire. At sunset, Ubin set fire to the dry leaves and soon there was a merry blaze. The flames rose as high as the red roofs of the houses. The rooks in the trees were disturbed and flew away into the dark sky, cawing hoarsely. Nana laughed. Kanu said, "They think it's tomorrow already, Nana." Nana said, "No, they think there is a forest fire." Mother became nervous. "I hope the hedge will not catch fire, uncle." No, said Nana. Ubin is standing ready with his rake and a large bucket of water to put out any starry tongues of fire. It is quite safe. They stood in a ring round the fire, with their faces to the blaze. Soon their cheeks were hot and red, but their backs were cold. All the children from the hillside had seen the glow of the fire and had gathered round. Some grown-ups had come too. Even Shyam's father and Shyam from Dhankheti at the foot of the hill. Mother brought out homemade biscuits for the children and little mugs of hot tea for the older people. Kanu took large sips from Nana's mug when he saw Shyam drinking from his father's mug. Mother said children should not drink from the grown-ups' cup, and brought out tiny cups of tea for the children as well. How happy everyone was. Then the flames grew low and the fire died down. Suddenly it was bitterly cold, and the people said namaskar and went home. Kanu went inside the house with mother and Nana. Their clothes smelt of burnt leaves. They were tired but happy, and chattered merrily as they ate their hot puris and onions fried with cauliflower from the garden. "It is never so bitterly cold down in the plains," said mother. "Everybody looks forward to the dry, cool winters there. Here all flowers wither away in the cold wind. There the seasonal flowers burst into bloom. But there the sal forests shed their leaves too, like our pear trees here. At the end of winter they burst into flower. The pollen from the flowers form little heaps at the foot of the trees. The south wind blows the pollen about and makes people sneeze. The flowers have a faint, sweet smell. How I miss that scent." Kanu got a little angry. "So do our pear trees, Ma," he said. "They are covered with lovely white flowers too. When winter is over, you can't see a single leaf, only flowers. Isn't that so, Nana?" Nana nodded his head and said, "Then the petals fall down and tiny little pears appear, hard as stone and terribly bitter. The leaf buds open and seem to hold their umbrellas over the little fruit to protect them from the cold. The fruit grows bigger and bigger and the branches hang lower and lower with the weight. Have you noticed that, boy? It makes months for the fruit to become ripe enough to be eaten, because the weather is so cold." "Yes," said mother. "It is the same with our mangoes in Sonali. After the flowers come out, the leaf buds open and protect the tiny mangoes from the sun and thieving animals. But the climate is warm and fruit is ripe in 3 or 4 months. It is the same everywhere. Nature looks after the children. Where it is so cold that everything is frozen and not a leaf can be seen, animals find hidey holes and go to sleep. Roots rest under the ground and birds fly to warm countries. They come in thousands to Sonali. snips, and wild ducks. They spend the winter near the pools and ponds around our village and fly back again when winter is over. Come, Kanu, it is time to sleep. The days grew shorter and shorter. Soon it began to grow dark at 4:30 in the afternoon. Though one could see the sun rays shining on the rocks at the top of the Liger peak. The sun has not really set as yet, said Nana. It has only dropped behind the hills. The evenings seemed very long. It was too cold for fishing or flying kites. Nana brought out his carving tools and began to teach Kanu how to carve dog's heads and dragon's heads in soft wood to make handles of walking sticks. Examinations were over. School closed for the long winter. Some people went away to the plains to avoid the cold. Nana and Kanu both loved the dry, cold winter, especially the mornings when the frost lay white and shiny over the hillside. I have never seen frost fall from the sky, Nana. Does it fall at night when I am asleep? No, boy, said Nana. It doesn't fall from the sky. Frost is only dew which has frozen on the cold ground. Our hills are not high enough for snowfall. The frost melted as soon as the sun's rays touched it. A log fire was lit in the little fireplace in the sitting room. They sat round it and had their meals. It was warm and cozy. Kanu looked at the logs burning fiercely. In the imagination, he saw towns and cities burning, battles raging, and fire mountains belching forth flames. These are called volcanoes. Nana had seen one. A letter arrived from Bapu. He hoped to spend the winter with them. He had 2 months' leave. Everyone was excited by the news. Mother gave the postman sweets and tea. He was Yubin's nephew and had friends in every house in Mulki. It made him late in finishing his rounds. Nana joked about it. If his inside is full and warm, he does not mind walking uphill in the cold. His name was Doran. It was Doran who had told Kanu about the bee tree in the reserved forest. He had seen a swarm of bees flying away from it one spring morning. He told Kanu about this. 2 queen bees cannot live in the same beehive. There is always one queen bee, a few drones who do not work, and thousands of busy worker bees who gather pollen from the flowers, bring it to the hive, prepare wax for the walls of the hive, make honey for the babies, keep the hive neat, clean, and safe. The queen bee does nothing but lay eggs. It does not even look after its eggs or the little babies when they are born. The workers do everything. If by chance the hive gets overcrowded, the queen bee flies away with a large party of workers and drones to build another hive in some other place. Mother knew all these. She had seen a bee tree in the sal forest near Sonali. It was dead rain tree with a hollow trunk whose leaves had all withered. The bark had peeled off. The trunk was cracked in places and one could see the honeycomb inside. Sometimes a little honey would ooze out and run down the trunk. Ants gathered round the little stream of honey. They did not dare to go too close to the honeycomb, for they knew that the watchful bees would immediately kill them. Kanu was thrilled when he heard this. He wanted to see the bee tree too. Let us go to Sonali Ma. Nana was sitting near them by the fire. Why go all the way, boy? One day I can take you to the bee tree in the forest here. But bees don't come out in the winter. We had better wait till spring come round again. Kanu did not want to wait. He cried, No, let us go now and see the bee tree. We can go again in the spring to look at the bees. Mother did not agree. What use is a bee tree if you can't see the bees? So the days passed one by one. One sunshiny day, when mother and the others were resting after lunch, and Kanu was looking at the pictures in the new tiger book that had come in a parcel from Bapu, Nana put on his knitted woolen cap that covered his ears and throat. Mother called it Nana's monkey cap. Then he put on his heavy patched black forester's overcoat and picked up his thick, knotty stick from his corner beside the door. Kanu sat up at once. Where are you going, Nana? I want to go with you. Nana replied, No, I am only going to look at the springs in the reserved forest. You have already seen them. Haven't you seen them already too? Asked Kanu. Of course. Why, boy? You know I lived there in my hut near the springs for many years. I had to see that no one dirtied the water. Now they have built walls round the springs, so no one lives there. I have not seen those quarters for 10 years. They must be in ruins. Lie down, boy, or your mother will get annoyed. Saying this, Nana hurried away without once looking at back. Kanu caught up with him at the edge of the forest. Nana was so angry when he saw Kanu that he turned homewards. Kanu pretended not to see him and took the path into the dense forest. If Nana wanted to go home, let him. Kanu was going to look for the bee tree near the springs. In the end, Nana had to go with him. I don't know what your mother will say, he grumbled. Kanu said, Why should she be annoyed? I have put on my heavy coat and thick socks, Nana. Kanu had been there before with a big picnic party. The whole of Mulki had come and there was singing and jokes and games. Everything looked different this time. The forest seemed denser, the trees crowded together. The afternoon sun was shining brightly outside, but here the light struggled through the tiny patches, through the thick leaves. Everything looked strange and it was bitterly cold. Kanu shivered inside his coat. The ground was damp under his feet. Grey and light green things looking like the hair and beards of old men hung from the branches of the trees. Those are plants too, said Nana. They suck the juice from the veins of the trees instead of taking it from the good earth. Mind you don't go too close to the bushes. Supposing one of them rears its hood. Nana never mentioned the word snake when he was in the forest. Kanu replied, But I thought they slept all through the winter. Not if someone treads on them. Come away now. Kanu moved away from the bushes. Suddenly, he pricked up his ears. He could hear the sound of falling water. The forest has its own noise, birds rustling in the high branches, the breeze sighing among the pine needles, the scampering of tiny feet, the chirping of droning of crickets. But of all these, Kanu liked the sound of falling water best. One could hear it long before one saw the water. "Oh, Nana, that must be the spring," he replied. "The springs are higher up, boy. That is the stream which carries away the extra water that the pipes cannot catch. It too is spring water flowing down the mountainside on its way to Barapani. Listen how it gurgles and laughs and sings as it rushes down. The little stones in the stream are rubbed smooth and round by the water passing over them. They are called pebbles." It was darker in the middle of the forest and absolutely quiet. Kanu came close to Nana. "Come, hold my hand, boy. We have to climb up these rocks to take a shortcut." They climbed up the steep slope, clambering over the rocks, looking for safe footholds, clawing on hands and knees, clutching at roots and branches, holding on to the tall, dry, tough grass. At last, they reached the most wonderful place in the world. There were no trees crowding the place. It was rough, bare, and rocky. From 3 or 4 little holes in the rocky body of the mountain, water bubbled out. Kanu had never climbed so high, not even when they had the picnic. He was astonished. Was this the water spring which supplied water to the whole town? "Oh, Nana, look at the water flowing away, being wasted. What will the people drink?" Nana said, "Talk sense, boy. It is not being wasted. It is rushing along to meet Barapani. The thirsty earth sucks up some of the water. The cows, goats, and sheep drink some of it when they cross the stream on their way home from the high pastures. Do you call them that waste? The town's drinking water comes from the springs higher up." Kanu looked up the slope and saw more springs with low roofs and walls built round them. They went up to the springs and saw that the walls did not reach the roofs. There was a space about half a meter wide, covered with a strong wire mesh to let the air into the huts. Kanu looked through the wire mesh and saw the water bulbing out of the several holes, making tiny streams, which joined up to make bigger streams. Big black pipes carried away the water from here. The water that was left over flowed down the hillside to meet other streams from the other huts and hurried down to Barapani, nearly 60 kilometers. Hello friends, with this we are ending the episode 3 of Homecoming by Lila Majumdar. Please tune into Chhuti Presents Escape into Audio Stories for other episodes. Till then, goodbye and stay in touch.